Gentlemen and ladies, if any of you are watching this, welcome or welcome back. My name is Chase, and the time is upon us again to talk about some more drugs. But this time it's a little bit different because we're not doing a deep dive into one substance, we're doing a tier list. I don't want to waste too much time because we have a lot to cover, so as always, if you enjoy the video, don't forget to inject those like, comment, and subscribe buttons, and I hope you do enjoy. So thank you so much for watching, and let's get right into it. This is the tier list that we're going to be going over. I did not make it. It claims to be every psychoactive compound. Clearly that's untrue. It's missing things like benzodrex, hydrocodone, fucking urinal cakes. That's a future video. I need to write that down actually. Urinal cake life on Reddit. Look it up. 2CB, also known as Nexus, is a synthetic psychedelic that was first synthesized in 1974 for use in psychotherapy. It's known for combining psychedelic effects with empathogenic effects, so it's something of a cross between LSD and MDMA. Not only are you tripping balls, but you also get to be an empath, just like I am. It can be administered nasally, but apparently it burns a lot, so it's usually taken as a pill or a powder. While the effects it produces are similar to Molly and acid, it's not as uncontrollable as either of them. It's more of like a middle ground between the two. As far as side effects go, it's not extremely toxic. You're looking at anxiety, confusion, paranoia, no real physical damage. All of those are pretty typical side effects when it comes to psychedelics. It can also cause body tremors and muscle spasms, but neither of those are extremely dangerous or life-threatening. And some users even report enjoying those side effects, so to each their own, I guess. It's pretty niche, but it's also not dangerous, right? So I think B tier is a pretty fitting spot for it. These can change. I can reorder these later on, but for now it's going in B tier. 3-MMC or metaphedrone is another MDMA knockoff, but this one is less hallucinogenic and more stimulating. It's a research chemical, which is kind of a loophole in the law, so it's like a legal substitute for Molly or amphetamines. It can cause minor visual and audio hallucinations, but for the most part, it's just very euphoric and stimulating, which is why it's usually taken at parties. The thing about research chemicals is that even though they're legal, they're just as dangerous as any other street drug because you really never know what you're getting. I mean, these fucking people could be just making this stuff in their bathroom. It has all the same side effects as most other stimulants: increased heart rate, blood pressure, dehydration, muscle spasms, overheating, and of course, like most other stimulants, it is very, very addicting. The neurotoxicity of 3-MMC is not very well studied, but it is a stimulant, so it's probably not very good for your brain in the long term, especially if you're using it chronically. Stimulants are pretty cool, but the risk to reward here, I just don't think it's worth it, honestly, especially because it's a research chemical, right? And it's extremely addictive, of course. But with a research chemical, you never really know what you're getting. So I'm putting this in C tier because there are just better options if you really need a stimulant. 5-MeO-DMT is a naturally occurring psychedelic found in a wide variety of plant species, and it's also naturally secreted through the skin of the Colorado river toad. As soon as you inhale, it kicks in almost instantly, and it's a very emotionally intense experience, even though it doesn't last a long time, no more than like 20 minutes. Unlike other psychedelics, there's not a ton of visual hallucinations, but it is a very spiritual experience, and it can even be therapeutic for some people. Psychs are pretty awesome in my opinion. As long as you're not like predisposed to schizophrenia or anything, I think they can be very enlightening. And there's not really a ton of danger when it comes to them. They're not addictive, so putting this one in A tier. I'm pretty sure we all know what Adderall is, but on the off chance that you're unfamiliar with it, it's a legal amphetamine that is commonly prescribed as treatment for ADHD. It gives you a lot of energy and motivation, and it heightens your focus and overall mental clarity. It kind of removes brain fog. In high doses, it can also cause anxiety and irritability, which is also very common in stimulants. And of course, it can be extremely addicting. This is the first substance on here that I actually have personal experience with. Not much by any means. I'm not much of a partier. I didn't really use it recreationally. I actually took it as a pre-workout, and I like how I felt. I can't lie. It made me very focused. It gave me a lot of energy. It definitely made me extremely talkative. My friend was driving us to the gym and I was fucking yapping his ear off, dude. We were in the car for like an hour and I just wouldn't shut up. It's definitely safer than 3-MMC because it can be available with a prescription, so you always know what you're getting. But it is a stimulant. Not a good idea to use it recreationally. They can be very addictive, very toxic. I kind of want to put it in A tier, but I'm going to put it in B tier for now. It might move up to A though. Alcohol's next. I don't feel the need to explain to you guys what that is. We already know. It's the most socially acceptable substance all across the world. And I'm putting it in D tier because it is so overrated. In my opinion, the risk to reward ratio on it is just awful, right? It's super addictive. It's literally a poison. It's really bad for you, liver failure, etc. I'm coming from a place of some bias because I do have a family lineage of alcoholics, but it's just not worth it in my opinion, right? Of course, I've drank before. I have personal experience. It's not even that good of a time, honestly. Like, I'm not gonna lie and say I don't enjoy it at all, but it just makes you feel like stupid, like really fucking dumb for a little bit and dizzy, and then you wake up the next morning with like a horrible sore throat and nausea. So it's just not worth it in my opinion at all. Way cooler things to do if you're gonna do anything, which you shouldn't. Don't do any of these, but D tier for now. Barbiturates are central nervous system depressants that were once widely prescribed for anxiety, insomnia, and even anesthesia. They've all but gone extinct at this point because of the rise of benzos, which are generally considered safer, which tells you a lot about how dangerous barbiturates are. They're very sedating and relaxing, and just like benzos are today, they were commonly used as a come-down tool off of stimulants and psychedelics. They're extremely dangerous. I mean, they were replaced by benzos because benzos are safer, so overdose, fatal overdose is very common. They're also extremely addictive, and once you are addicted, coming off cold turkey can also be extremely dangerous and even fatal. These are an extremely easy D tier. There's literally no point, no reason to ever use these. DPH or diphenhydramine is the active ingredient in Benadryl. The first video on my channel was actually a deep dive into DPH, so for that reason, I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on it. I actually need to remake that video because it's pretty low quality compared to what I produce now. But it's a deliriant. It causes hallucinations that are indistinguishable from reality. There's absolutely no euphoria or pleasure to be derived from this experience. It is absolutely horrifying. You completely lose touch with reality. It's extremely damaging to your brain and essentially all of your organs. It's extremely easy for this stuff to be fatal, both in the short term, immediately after taking it, and in the long term, especially with chronic use. And even if you do survive, you're not exactly getting lucky because this stuff does cause permanent brain damage and possible organ failure. This is another extremely easy D tier. You should never touch this stuff. There's absolutely nothing to be gained. It's not worth it. Looking at it now, looking at the list, it's hard to justify putting alcohol next to barbiturates and Benadryl, so I think we're going to move this up to C tier. Betel nut is essentially just nicotine found in South Asia and the Pacific Islands. It's a very mild stimulant. It just gives you a little bit of a buzz. It's nothing crazy. It does have the side effect of staining your teeth and saliva red, which is pretty neat. It's mildly addictive. It's really not extremely bad for you. It can cause oral cancer long term, but it's not like you're going to drop dead from it. All things considered, it's pretty safe, but at the same time, there's also not a lot to be gained from the experience, right? Like, there's no spiritual enlightenment or extreme euphoria or anything. It's more in the background. So I think B tier is a pretty fair place to put it for now.
Before we go any farther, I want to real quickly let you guys know that the channel merch is now live. There are a ton of really cool designs. I made them all myself. This Department of Anomaly sweater is one of my favorites.
If you like any of the designs and want to support me, the merch is linked on my channel, so you can go check it out. Thank you in advance for your consideration. Now back to the video. Blue lotus is a mildly psychoactive herb native to Egypt and parts of Africa. It's most commonly smoked or made into a tincture. As far as effects go, there's some mild euphoria and relaxation, and at extremely high doses, there can be some subtle visual enhancement, but it really doesn't do a whole lot. It's easy to stay functional with this stuff. It's not super impairing, and it's also pretty low when it comes to toxicity. It's pretty much like a diet alcohol that's not nearly as bad for you, so for that reason, I think it's a pretty easy B tier. Next up, we have caffeine, another one that I'm not going to waste time going over. We already know what it is. If you don't know what it is, you're probably not old enough to be on YouTube. Easy S tier, very easy S tier. It's amazing, right? Gets you going, gives you some energy, not super addictive. You know, people say they're addicted to caffeine. What, you're going to get like a headache, dude? Just fucking stop drinking it. Coke is a central nervous system stimulant derived from the coca plant. It blocks the reuptake of neurotransmitters like dopamine and serotonin in your brain, causing a buildup of these feel-good chemicals. It has all the same effects and side effects of other stimulants, so I don't feel the need to repeat myself. Of course, it being euphoric and energizing, it's commonly associated with partying and nightlife, but it's also a bit more of a designer drug. It's most associated with people of high class, high social status, wealth. It has a very high potential for addiction. It's also very bad for your nose and nasal cavity long term, especially if you're using it chronically. It'll basically turn you into the ghoul from Fallout. Fatal overdose is not very common, but it is possible, and the chances skyrocket when it's mixed with other substances like alcohol, which it commonly is. I do have friends who have used this stuff. I never personally have, but I've heard pretty universally that it's overrated and generally just not worth the hype. And especially when you factor in how damaging it can be, I do really want to put it in D tier, but at the same time, it has aura, man. Like, it has a little bit of aura. Like Wolf of Wall Street, it has to go in C tier. Crack is a freebase form of coke that's inhaled, and it produces a faster and more intense experience. And it's also one of the greatest home runs the CIA ever hit on black communities. It basically appeared out of thin air in the 1980s, almost exclusively in minority communities. That's weird. And it quickly became extremely infamous for how addictive it was. Also strangely, despite it literally just being coke, it was punished 100 times harsher. Strange. I wonder why that is. This is another extremely easy D tier. It's literally just coke, but it's worse for you, way more illegal, and it has no aura. Datura is another deliriant that I've already done a standalone video on. It's exactly the same as DPH essentially, except it lasts like 3 times as long. Full delirium can last for up to a day, and lingering side effects like brain fog can last for weeks or even up to months. Also, because it's a plant, it makes the dosing highly unpredictable because the toxic alkaloids that produce the effects vary from plant to plant, which makes it even easier to overdose on than something like DPH. Another very easy D tier. Any deliriant is automatically going in D tier, honestly, because they're not even fun. Like, they're not euphoric, they don't make you feel good. It's literally just you get to live in a nightmare for like a day, and then you probably wake up with brain damage or you die. Okay. DMT is probably the most powerful naturally occurring psychedelic on the planet. It can be found in many plants and animals, and it's even naturally produced in the human body in small quantities. DMT containing plants are used in Amazonian cultures for traditional medicine and shamanism, most notably ayahuasca. It's another very short but extremely intense experience. Once you break through, reality is completely replaced. You have no control over yourself or what's going on around you, and all you're seeing is geometric shapes and vivid colors everywhere. It's also very common to encounter entities like gods or the infamous machine elves. It's not toxic, it's not addictive, but it can be very psychologically damaging, especially if you're predisposed to mental illness. You definitely want to steer clear of this. But it can also be very therapeutic as well, which is why it's used in these ceremonies, and some people even say that they have life-changing experiences after taking this stuff. One of my friends, he's very big on social media. He actually owns a health and wellness company. I'm not going to name drop him here because I don't know if he's talked about this, but you guys have almost certainly seen him before. He has a much bigger following than me. He's actually talked to me about taking ayahuasca. He did an ayahuasca ceremony. He went out into the forest and did it. And he said that he had a life-changing experience after taking this. And it actually, like, I don't know if it was the sole reason, I doubt it was, for his direction in life, but it definitely played like an influence on him. I'm putting it in S tier, dude. Like, there's really no side effects to it, provided you're not predisposed to like schizophrenia or anything, and you're in a good state of mind, right? Because psychs are very powerful. But what can I say? It's definitely like, it's not dangerous, not toxic. It's on my bucket list. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. Dom is a long-acting psychedelic amphetamine developed in the 1960s. It's known for its extremely long duration and overwhelmingly intense effects. It can last for over 30 hours, and it also distorts your perception of time, so minutes feel like hours, so it probably just feels like you're stuck like this forever. It strongly distorts your visuals, very similar to acid, but it's also a stimulant, so you get all the fun effects of that as well, like restlessness and paranoia. Doesn't that sound great? It's not very toxic or addictive, but like all other stimulants, it does put strain on the heart, especially at high doses. Also, it can take over 3 hours to kick in for some people, which is understood now, but when it came out in the 1960s, people weren't really aware of this. So it led a ton of people to think it was just not working, or like they didn't take enough of it, so they would redose it and then they would freak the fuck out. This stuff sounds absolutely horrible. It literally sounds like a prank, but at the same time, it's very unique. First of all, it's a psychedelic amphetamine, right? But the delayed onset is so funny to me to think about. Like, can you imagine taking some of this and thinking like, oh, it's not doing anything, I'm gonna redose. And then out of nowhere, you're basically in hell for like 2 days. I'm putting it in B tier just because of that. DXM is another substance I've already done a video on, but it's an ingredient found in over-the-counter cough syrups like Robitussin. It's a dissociative. In low doses, it's pretty similar to alcohol. In high doses, it's more like ketamine. It's moderately addictive, and high doses or chronic use can lead to side effects like liver failure, seizures, and serotonin syndrome. This is in D tier. It's for losers. I can't lie, right? I hate to be that guy. It's a bummy-ass drug. It really is. Imagine telling someone you're doing this. Like, imagine telling someone, like, this is what you use. This is your substance of choice. Come on, what are we, in fucking middle school? Are you gonna sniff your Sharpie afterwards too? Get a little buzz going? Grow up. Fentanyl is another substance that we're all already familiar with, right? Everyone knows about the fentanyl crisis. It's a synthetic opioid that's like 50 to 100 times stronger than morphine and heroin. It's super easy to overdose on it. It's measured in micrograms. Obviously, extremely addictive too, right? No surprise. Another easy D tier. I don't think anyone's gonna debate that. I think we have to move DXM up to C tier, honestly, because I don't think it belongs next to these substances. I don't think it's that bad for you. I put it in D tier because, like I said, it is a loser drug. It really is. But at the same time, I also know that there are some people out there who are going to see it. And if I rank it high, they're going to want to try it or something. Do not do this. I want to be very clear. Do not fucking go out and get DXM. Don't be a loser. It's not good for you, of course. I don't think it's as bad as these, though. Flocka is a synthetic stimulant chemically related to bath salts. It's sometimes referred to as the zombie drug by the media because of the bizarre and violent behavior of users. It can kick in within 5 minutes and last anywhere from 3 to 6 hours. During this time, users experience intense euphoria and alertness, but it can also cause extreme agitation, paranoia, and anxiety. High doses can also trigger psychosis, which is very dangerous on its own, but especially so when you're hyper agitated and have superhuman strength. It's another stimulant, so of course it puts a lot of strain on your heart and organs, so it's very easy to fatally overdose on this stuff. And it's also known to cause PTSD-like symptoms and severe anxiety disorders. D tier. Again, I don't think anyone's really going to debate this. I don't know, it doesn't really sound like something that I'm eager to try. Maybe that's a hot take. GHB is a central nervous system depressant that is naturally produced by the human body in small amounts. It's commonly known as the date SA drug because it's very heavily sedating and easy to mix into drinks. It's also extremely potent, which means that if it's not dosed very accurately, you're probably not waking up. Fun fact, that guy Mr. Based, who was leeching off of World of T-shirts for so long, actually has a pretty interesting legal situation from his past having to deal with GHB. So you can look up Mr. Based GHB if you want to see more about that. Again, D tier, getting a little bit crowded down here at this point, so we might have to rearrange it, but I don't think any of these substances deserve to move up, so they might stay there. Heroin is a semi-synthetic opioid derived from morphine extracted from the opium poppy. It was developed in the late 19th century as a non-addictive painkiller, which is just incredible. Of course, it was quickly discovered to be actually extremely addictive. It produces immense euphoria, warmth, and sedation, and it's highly effective at dulling emotional and physical pain. Like I said, it's extremely addictive. It's also very easy to overdose on, and the withdrawals from it are also very nasty, including severe muscle aches and nausea, vomiting, insomnia. I don't think anyone really expected otherwise. D tier. Ibogaine is a root bark and shrub native to the African rainforest containing the psychoactive alkaloid ibogaine. It's known to produce a complex multi-stage experience with vivid visuals and emotional introspection. It's a transformative experience that isn't very euphoric, and users often report meeting spiritual beings or having symbolic visions. There's no potential for addiction, but it is highly toxic and puts a lot of strain on your heart, so fatal overdoses have occurred, most commonly due to cardiac complications. It's sometimes used to treat other addictions and can actually temporarily reduce or eliminate withdrawal symptoms from other substances. It can obviously be dangerous, but it's also extremely unique, and there actually seems to be a lot of utility with this substance, like treating addictions. That's pretty cool, so I'm going to slap it in A tier. Ketamine is a dissociative anesthetic that was originally developed for use in the medical field, particularly for pain management and anesthesia, but it's very popular to use it recreationally for its unique dissociative effects. It acts primarily as an NMDA receptor agonist, which produces a very unique trance-like and detached state. It's usually taken orally or snorted, but it can also be injected, and at low doses, it produces altered states of perceptions and maybe some mild visuals, but at high doses, it can produce incredibly vivid experiences. Complete detachment from reality, almost like a lucid dream in a way, except you're not really in control, you're kind of just in the background watching it unfold. It's not extremely addictive and dosing is pretty easy to control. There is some risk of overdose, but fatalities are overall pretty rare, especially when compared to something like opioids. Where it really gets dangerous is when it's mixed with other substances, which it commonly is because most recreational use occurs at parties or raves. Overall, though, this stuff is relatively safe. I don't think it can go in A tier because there is still a chance that it kills you, even though it's a very low chance. But it is a dissociative. I do like dissociatives and psychedelics because I like taking something away from the experience, you know, getting a different perception, coming out of it as like a changed person in a way. I'm going to put it in B tier for now. Ketamine goes in B tier. Kanna is a plant that is native to South Africa, which has been traditionally used by indigenous people for mood enhancement and stress relief. Honestly, there's really not a lot to say about this stuff. It's slightly euphoric, it gives you a little bit of a head buzz, it's non-habit forming, non-addictive, not really toxic. There's some risk of overdose, but it's like overdosing on nicotine. It just makes you nauseous. It's a little bit boring. It doesn't really do much, but a non-addictive nicotine does sound kind of cool. I'm split between B and C tier. Just because it really doesn't do much, we'll put it in C tier for right now. It might move up to B tier, but probably not. Kava is a tropical plant native to the South Pacific that has been traditionally used in ceremonial practices for its calming and sedative effects. It's another substance where there's really not too much to say here. It's not very addictive, it's not very toxic. You can overdose on it, but again, it's just going to make you kind of nauseous and drowsy. The effects are very predictable. It's very easy to dose and control the dose. Recently, I've been seeing it get a lot of buzz on TikTok because it's kind of like a diet alcohol. It doesn't give you quite the same feeling. It's not nearly as strong, but it's used as a social lubricant a lot of the times in the same way. Even though it's not exactly the same, it's definitely a better alternative to drinking. So we're going to put it one tier above alcohol, so Kava is going in B tier. I know I just said the last substance was like diet alcohol, but kratom is literally diet alcohol. It's another substance that I have a little bit of personal experience with, and I can definitely tell you it feels very similar. It produces the same feelings as opioids, except not nearly as strong, but it gives you that same warmth, that sociability. It gives you a little bit of euphoria, but not much. It's a good time. Sometimes I'll get the little kratom shots, the feel-good ones, because I don't want to drink, and they serve their purpose, but I'm not a fan of the marketing at all. It's a healthier substitute to alcohol. There's no question about it, but the marketing of a lot of these brands will actually make you think that it's a health drink, like you're doing yourself a favor by consuming it, and that is not true at all. It is highly addictive, and one of the big problems with this stuff is that it doesn't impair you in the same way that alcohol does, right? So you can't just go out and drink every single day. You know, it's pretty rare to be a functional alcoholic, and that happens over a long time. With kratom, you can drink a few kratom shots and still you'll feel it, but you can still go out and do stuff. Like I could take the 3-4 of those shots and I could still drive a car. I can still go to the gym. I can still be productive, and it makes you think that it's not gonna be like a big deal if you keep doing it. And that's the issue with it, because it works like an opioid. The withdrawal symptoms are the same as opioids. You guys might have seen that 7-OH stuff that's been going around recently. It's been going viral on Instagram. One of my mutuals, Goob, made a video talking about it. I think he made a couple of them. And they're calling it gas station heroin. It's a kratom extract that's like 100 times more potent. It's literally an opiate for sale in gas stations. Anyone can buy it. It's crazy. I'm not trying to fearmonger around it. Like I said, I do think it's a healthier alternative to alcohol, but do not fall into the trap of thinking that this stuff is good for you or that it can't do any damage. It's absolutely horrible for you if you get addicted. So treat it with respect like anything else. I would put it in B tier, but the marketing around it, I think, really kind of kills it for me. And the 7-OH stuff, you stay away from that stuff. I think it's overrated, so I have to put it down in C tier because it gets too good of a rep in a way, right? Even though it's like underrated, it doesn't really get talked about too much. The people that generally do talk about it or use it, they really don't know what they're getting into. Crocodile is a semi-synthetic opioid that originated in Russia and Eastern Europe, made of toxic household chemicals that was originally developed to be a cheaper substitute to heroin. Since we've already gone over the original, I don't need to reiterate everything for the cheap knockoff. It's the exact same thing. It has all the exact same effects and side effects. It's just stronger and way more toxic. Because of what it's made of, it typically contains solvents, heavy metals, and acids, and you're putting all of that directly into your bloodstream. Because of the ingredients, it causes necrosis almost immediately. Like within a few uses, your flesh is going to begin to deteriorate, which is where it gets the nickname crocodile. Very quickly, users start to look like Killer Croc. It is so damaging, in fact, that the average lifespan of a crocodile user is 1 to 3 years once use begins. And it makes sense, right? I mean, this stuff is literally being brewed with things like gasoline and paint thinner. This is another easy one. I think everyone knows where this is going. D tier. All of these ones in D tier have been pretty obvious. Lean or dirty Sprite is prescription strength cough syrup, usually containing codeine and promethazine mixed into a beverage of choice, most commonly Sprite. It's really just another heroin variant, honestly. It's just liquid heroin. It has all the same side effects, all the same effects for the most part, with the addition of the lean gut, of course. Over time, it causes really bad bloating and digestive issues, and it also puts a lot of strain on your liver and kidneys. Realistically, I want to put it in C tier, but it has aura, and I think that's enough to boost it up to B tier because it's so popularly referenced in rap music. I love Codeine Crazy, I love Young Lean. B tier. LSA is a naturally occurring psychedelic compound found in the seeds of certain plants like the morning glory. It's very chemically similar to LSD, but it's generally much less potent and more sedating. It's been traditionally used in Mesoamerican rituals because of the dreamy and introspective trips that it causes. The seeds are typically crushed and then either consumed raw or brewed into a tea. The effects kick in within an hour and a half, and the trip can last up to 10 hours. It's not addictive, it's not very toxic. Overdose can occur, but the side effects are not life-threatening. It's just going to make you feel sick. Since it's relatively safe, there's no potential for addiction, and it gives you new perspectives on things. I'm putting LSA in A tier. LSD is LSA's big brother. It's much more well-known and much more potent. It's also a pretty introspective substance, but it produces much more vivid visual and cognitive changes. It's extremely euphoric, and it produces very vivid color enhancement, patterns, movement, and static objects. It lasts for a very long time, over 14 hours sometimes. It can feel very overwhelming psychologically, but it's not addictive or toxic at all. And it can even be therapeutic. It's being experimented with right now in psychedelic therapy trials. LSD is going in S tier. Mad honey is a type of wild honey that is said to have psychoactive effects, but I personally don't buy it. I think this stuff is a scam. I've never used it personally, but I've heard from other people who have, and they've all said that it did absolutely nothing. Apparently, this is because it is extremely toxic, and it's actually more toxic than it is psychoactive. So like, why would you want to do this? Hallucinations can occur at high doses, but at high doses, you also have to go through intense nausea, vomiting, sweating, confusion, and cardiovascular issues. That sounds like a really fun time, actually. I really want to make myself feel absolutely fucking horrible and then start hallucinating. This stuff sounds like it absolutely sucks. D tier. I don't know why you would ever want to try something like this. To each their own, I guess, but like, besides curiosity, why would you want to do this? MDMA, commonly known as ecstasy or Molly, is a very popular party drug that is known to cause very immense feelings of euphoria, sensory enhancement, and emotional closeness. It's commonly taken in the form of pills or powder. It kicks in around 20 minutes to an hour, and the full trip lasts 4 to 6 hours, with after effects lasting for about a day. It's extremely euphoric, and because it's so intense, the come down off of it can be pretty brutal and make you feel depressed. Psychologically, it can be addictive even though there are no physical withdrawals, and high doses or chronic use greatly increase the chance of seizures or serotonin syndrome. And serotonin syndrome is a big deal. It can be lethal. It feels basically like a heroin withdrawal, except it can make you hallucinate as well. This might be a hot take because no doubt it's an incredibly popular substance, but I think it is incredibly overrated. I'm not willing to roll the dice like that. I'm not willing to play the chance game with serotonin syndrome and possibly lose my life or just ruin it. I'm putting it in C tier. Some people might want it higher. I think it's overrated. Mescaline is a naturally occurring psychedelic alkaloid found in several cacti species, most notably the peyote. It's been used by indigenous peoples in the Americas for thousands of years for ceremonial and healing purposes. It produces vivid and colorful hallucinations, deep introspective thought, and a feeling of connectedness to nature. Historically, it's been consumed through dried cactus and brewed teas, but today, extracted powders are more common. It lasts a really long time, anywhere from 10 to 14 hours. It's non-addictive, it's not very toxic. Overall, it's pretty safe. You can overdose on it, but it's another one where the overdose is not going to be fatal. You're just going to feel sick and probably throw up. Overall, it sounds pretty neat, honestly. You guys can probably tell at this point, this is like right up my alley. I'm going to put it in A tier. Meth is another one we all know. It is the tweaker drug. It gives you insane amounts of energy. It's extremely euphoric. It's actually the most dopaminergic substance on the planet, so you might even be able to say that it's the most addicting. It has all the side effects of other stimulants except worse because it's stronger, and it can also keep you up for days at a time, which can send you into a sleep-deprived psychosis. And a little fun fact, I took a criminal justice course in college where we had to learn how to spot the signs of a meth user, and they're all gooners and smokers. Because they're so amped up and have so much dopamine in their brain, they absolutely love smoking cigarettes and women's clothing for some reason, especially pantyhose. It can also make you gay because it hypersexualizes your brain, which is worth noting. So doing meth is gay. Look, no homophobia around here, but meth still has to go in D tier. Not because it makes you gay, but for all of the other reasons. 2,5-I-N-BOME is a research chemical that was developed in the early 2000s that quickly hit the recreational market as a cheap substitute for LSD. People often say that it lacks the warmth and connected feeling that LSD gives you, and instead it feels more robotic, cold, and almost synthetic in a way. It's known to induce psychotic breaks and long-lasting trauma, and it is extremely dangerous, with just 1 milligram being enough to be potentially fatal. So it's way more dangerous and lacks all of the meaningful benefits that could potentially be there with other psychedelics. Wow, that sounds like a great time. No surprises here. It's going in D tier. Nicotine's another one we're all familiar with. It gives you a little bit of a buzz, like a head rush. It can be very addicting, not very addicting, like life-altering, but it is easy to get into the habit of using it. Obviously, this is another one that I have personal experience with. If you went to public high school, you've almost certainly tried it before in your life, or at least have seen other people do it. And there are some serious benefits to nicotine. It is a mild stimulant, so it gives you some energy. It works as an appetite suppressant as well. It's also a neurotropic, so it makes your brain work a little bit better. It increases focus and memory. So there are some legitimate positives, especially if you can control yourself and moderate your use. But if you're on the younger side or have never tried it before, I don't recommend starting. It's not worth it. For the people who can moderate themselves, like I said, it can be really beneficial. So I'm going to put it in B tier. But don't start it if you're not using it already. And if you are using it, don't smoke, don't vape. Use like a nicotine pouch or one of those like stickers things that you put on yourself, nicotine gum, stuff like that. Nitrous oxide is a mild anesthetic that's commonly inhaled through small canisters known as whippets. The effects kick in almost immediately. They don't last a very long time, no more than usually 5 minutes, and it's just a big head rush of euphoria and relaxation. Nitrous itself isn't extremely dangerous, but it can deprive your brain of oxygen, which can lead to some nasty side effects like falling unconscious and possibly injuring yourself. And chronic use can also lead to vitamin B12 deficiency, which can cause nerve damage. It's another one that's just kind of lame, honestly, right? I mean, unless you're Kanye West, he's the one exception because he's fucking Kanye. But if you're using Galaxy Gas, it's like, dude, you're carrying that thing around with you. Like, come on. My name Lil T, man. It's going in C tier. Nutmeg is another deliriant. It's just like DPH, it's just like Datura. They're all almost identical to each other. The effects can last for over 24 hours. There's no euphoria, there's no pleasure. It just makes you feel horrible and makes you really scared. It's another D tier. All deliriants are going in D tier automatically. There's literally just no point. There's nothing to be gained. Oxycodone is a semi-synthetic opioid used medically to treat moderate to severe pain. Like other opioids, it produces strong euphoria, deep relaxation, pain suppression, and warmth. And just like other opioids, it is extremely addictive, and the chances of fatally overdosing are very high. For recreational use, it's not as dangerous as some of the other opioids, but it is still an opioid, so it can't go higher than C tier. PCP is a powerful dissociative anesthetic that was developed in the 1950s for medical use but was quickly abandoned due to its severe psychiatric side effects. It's known for producing intense feelings of detachment from reality and very vivid hallucinations that often feel threatening. And because of the nature of the hallucinations, it's often linked to violent and erratic behavior. It can be addictive, but it's probably not as addictive as you might think, but it is highly toxic and is linked to kidney damage, seizures, brain damage, and long-term mental impairment. Look, it was abandoned for a reason, right? D tier. Phenibut is a synthetic GABA analog that was originally developed in the Soviet Union in the 1960s as a neurotropic and sleep aid. It's kind of similar to kratom and kava in the way that there's no real high to it, it's more of a heightened sobriety, so it's very easy to use frequently and often because it doesn't really make you feel any sort of impairment, you just feel better than you normally would. And it's also extremely addictive, which makes it even worse. Withdrawals from Phenibut feel very similar to opioid withdrawals, so it's definitely something to stay clear of recreationally, no question. It does work as a sleep aid pretty well if you can control yourself, but this isn't a sleep aid tier list, so it's going in D tier. Poppers are a type of recreational inhalant that are often taken before freaky time because they dilate your blood vessels and allow blood to flow more freely throughout your entire body. Because of this, they can enhance physical pleasure, but they also give you a sudden rush of euphoria and lightheadedness. They're not addictive, they're honestly pretty safe on their own, but when mixed with other substances like Viagra, they can cause sudden drops in blood pressure, which can be life-threatening. And long-term use has been associated with eye damage and vision problems, which totally sounds worth it to me. I would personally love to go blind so that my gooning is a little bit more enjoyable. It's another one that's just kind of boring in my opinion, so it's going in C tier. I've already done a video on salvia. It's actually the most viewed video on my channel. It's a very short but intense experience, and it's completely unique. There's really nothing else like it. It causes complete detachment from reality. You're essentially in a different universe for like 20 minutes, but it also heavily distorts your perception of time, so it can feel like months or even years. It's non-toxic, non-addictive, it's very safe if you're in a controlled environment and have a trip sitter, and it's one of a kind, so it has to go in A tier. Spice refers to a wide variety of synthetic cannabinoids that are sprayed onto plant material and are meant to mimic the effects of THC. The effects are extremely unpredictable because with this stuff, you really have no idea what you're actually getting. It can mimic the effects of THC, or it could just send you into a psychosis or kill you. You really are just playing Russian roulette every time you touch this stuff. And because it's completely unregulated and there's no form of quality control, it's very easy to overdose on this stuff and fall into a coma or cause permanent damage to your body. I wonder where this one's going. D tier. Tramadol is a synthetic opioid used to treat moderate to severe pain. It's an opioid, so it's going to give you that euphoric and warm feeling, but it's commonly said to be less euphoric than other traditional opioids, and it's sometimes described to be as more clean or functional. It's pretty predictable in terms of dosing and effects, but redosing can cause seizures or serotonin syndrome again, so fun. And like other opioids, it is also very addictive and easy to overdose on, although again, less so than more traditional ones. But the withdrawals from it are just as brutal. I wanted to put it in D tier, but looking at where the list is at now, I think C tier is honestly more fitting because it's just not as bad as these down here. Valium is a widely prescribed benzodiazepine used to treat anxiety, muscle spasms, and seizures. The effects last anywhere from 6 to 8 hours, it's very euphoric and highly sedative. It's extremely addictive, and fatal overdose is pretty common when it's mixed with other substances, which it typically is. And the withdrawal symptoms with this stuff are crazy. They include anxiety, insomnia, tremors, agitation, hallucinations, seizures, and sometimes death. Nothing that gives you withdrawals like that can be worth it, I'm sorry. D tier. Fly agaric is a psychoactive species of mushroom that is extremely easy to recognize because of Mario. It can be found in temperate regions of the northern hemisphere and has been traditionally used by Siberian shaman for spiritual experiences. It's typically consumed dried to reduce toxicity because raw ingestion is poisonous. It produces dreamlike visions, euphoria, and a sense of detachment from one's body, but in high doses it can cause nausea and vomiting and even potentially delirium. It's not addictive, but the effects are extremely unpredictable and it's probably going to make you feel very sick. It's really not that dangerous, but it just does not sound fun or enjoyable at all. So for that reason, it's going in D tier. All right, guys, we're on to the final 3 substances. It's 2:30 in the morning. I'm extremely tired. I really want to go to sleep. I've been recording this video for the past 2 days. These are all extremely recognizable, so I'm not going to do the deep dive into them. We're just going to rank them and I'll give my thoughts. As long as you don't have any underlying mental illnesses or family history of mental illness or like schizophrenia or anything, shrooms are awesome. So they're going in S tier. I've used them a couple of times. They are extremely introspective. They really change the way you think about things. They actually increase neuroplasticity in the brain. So it forms new neural connections in your brain, which is so cool. It really does give a lasting impact on you. And they've changed my life. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. I don't think I would have this channel. I don't think I would be making YouTube videos if it wasn't for mushrooms, honestly. So very awesome. Love them. S tier. I have kind of a love-hate relationship with weed. It makes everything more fun. So that's a good and a bad thing because it's very easy to want to do it all the time because it doesn't impair you in the same way as something like alcohol does. Watching a movie is fun. Watching a movie after smoking is more fun. Playing video games is more fun. Going to the gym is more fun. Everything is more enjoyable. So it's very easy to start using it all the time and become like a daily habitual smoker. So it's a love and hate thing. I think you should stay away from it if you're not already using it. If you're already using it, you know, it's definitely not as bad as some of the other things on here. It's not as bad as anything else on here, actually. I'm going to put it in A tier. Zans, the Zandemic, not worth it at all, right? It just makes you into an idiot for a little bit. Pretty much turns you into a zombie. You don't even remember things after you wake up. It's not worth it at all. Stay away from it. Rest in peace, Lil Peep. D tier. This is the final tier list. This is objective, of course. This is not my opinion at all. My opinion is the only right one, so you cannot disagree with me. This is the final tier list. As always, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Peace.